What did Draymond say?
Grandy. All
Be
right.
patient.
Fine. God, Lucas, you're such a buzzkill this week. Okay. This is what Steve said, not Draymond. What Steve said about Draymond in the New Yorker article. The interviewer goes, you guys have come to blows. And Steve jumps in and goes, yeah, I mean, people pulling us apart. And in my first 5 years, we would get into 3 knockdown dragouts a year. Part of it was I just had to show the rest of the team that I'm in charge. You have to do things by a set of standards. It's a community that you're building, not just a team. A little society with values and standards and expectations. And then you're a community that has to police itself. The coach has to demand certain behaviors, certain habits. So then for a long time, we had a truce. I understood him so well, he understood me. But this year, we had a major blowout in December. He's such a unique person. There's things he's done that I can never forgive him for, and yet I will do anything for him. It's a fascinating quote. That's a fascinating quote, especially there at the end. So Draymond on the Draymond Green Show, Odyssey family, responded, and this is first what he said with regard to what Steve said about him.
When you spent 14 years with someone, when you've had the runs that we've had, playing the role that I've had to play and being who I've had to be, some things like that are going to happen. Everything hasn't just been one way. You know, it hasn't just been like, oh, man, Draymond did this, Steve's mad. I don't take that any way at all. You know, speaking of this December thing, you know, I spoke to him after that, and it was like, I don't think you like me. I don't think you've ever liked me, if I'm honest. Like, he cried. Like, really?
I don't think you like me. I don't think you've ever liked me.
And Steve cried. That's what Draymond's saying.
Huh.
I'm feeling a little bit of Sally Field here. You like me. You really like me from the Oscars. But I don't think you've ever liked me. I don't know. That's a little...
Well, here's what I'll say. Look, I mean, once upon a time, the lip-reading masters of America caught Steve saying, I'm so bleeping sick of Draymond right there on the sideline. I don't think anybody who's watched Warrior basketball for the last 12 years thinks that Draymond is just this easygoing character to be around as a coworker in a competitive field. I'm sure people get the complications surrounding this. What I don't know if people know, I think they're starting to know, but Steve Kerr, I think behind the scenes and when it's about basketball and competition, Steve is a lot more fiery than people know. A lot more.
Yeah.
I mean, just think about what he admitted to. Yeah, people had to separate us. We're just hands on each other. Steve Kerr.
And there's the famous story of Lisa Salters being outside the locker room and they are screaming at each other in a shouting match. And that was back when Kevin Durant was here. And we know that Steve will snap a clipboard, certainly. So absolutely he runs hotter than what you might see on TV.
That's still a big thing. I don't think you've ever liked me. And I that almost makes me feel, and I don't want to make it sound like Steve is the dad and Draymond's the kid, but there's a little bit of, a lot of parents ride that line with, and so I would think coaches too, about the idea of, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm not here to like you. I'm here to coach you.
Right.
We're here to do that. Kyle Shanahan actually was quoted as saying this to a group of players. Was it at the Senior Bowl? Something recently where there's a speech and it was caught on film and he was talking about coaching to the players. And he's like, I hope for all of you that you get a coach that doesn't try to be your friend. That's not what we're doing here. We're not here to tell you all of the things that a friend would tell you. Support you through everything. It's going to be okay. You know what I mean? I'm here for you and you're great and all that. That's not what we're doing here. You want someone who's dead honest with you.
Right. Someone who will push you to be better no matter what. And I do think that that's part of it, especially when you coach somebody like Draymond Green. My own experience is for high school sports, and I've had a couple of players who were Draymondian in many ways, and they were not necessarily athletes who I liked or athletes who liked me, but you had to find a way to make it work because they were phenomenal players and they were a key to winning, and that's what Draymond Green is.
Draymond Green on what Steve Kerr means to him. Draymond Green Show.
what he's meant to me in my life, what he's taught me in my life. Just telling them in our exit interview, the things that he's taught me about being a winner, I'm not sure where else I could have got that. I played for Tom Izzo, and Steve just took that to a completely different level, and especially showing me things about this level and winning. Like, I could never repay him for that. It's so important to who I've become.
That is also, wow. I played for Tom Izzo, and Steve brought the idea of winning and being a winner to a completely different level with what he's taught me. See, this is where I also, and I think that a lot of great coaches have suffered from this through the years. In my days working down in LA, it was the same thing for Phil Jackson at times, where the perception is if you're coaching a team that is filled with a lot of great players, you're not doing anything. You're rolling the ball out. It's just like whatever. And I've just never, ever bought that in any scenario, not just Steve. Phil, Pop, go to a different team, anything. If you have great players, sometimes it can get even harder, especially at the professional level where you got players making more money than you and egos are through the roof. You know what I mean? Like, let's go back to the Durant years.
Right.
Which is basically what we're talking about here. Do you think that was just sunshine and rainbows? Can you imagine how many NBA teams would have had a hard time figuring out the ball? Durant, Steph, Clay, keep going, Iguodala, Livingston, a personality like Draymond, all of that, and you just went out and were cohesive. That's challenging.
And it lasted for 2 1/3 years or 2 1/4 years. By that third year, it started to break apart. And you had the, that's why I'm out of here, Kevin Durant, lip reading moment, and Draymond and KD's clapping for the ball. And so it lasted as long as it lasted, and they still almost won a third title. But having, again, experienced my own coaching at my own level, sometimes when you have a super talented team, that's more of a challenge because you have to figure out how to allocate playing time and who gets the ball and who gets to play at what spots. And if you're up a lot, who has to go out there and keep playing or who wants to keep playing. And it's ego management as opposed to when you have a really crappy team, it's easier to just like, all right, guys, let's get in there and fight like heck and we'll see where the cards fall.
I mean, take a look around. Take a look around at the history of the league and great stars playing together. And do they still like each other now? Michael and Scotty like each other?
Probably not.
Kobe and Shaq?
No.
They ended up liking each other. Kobe's
Eventually.
no longer with us. But I was there. They didn't like each other.
Right.
They don't like each other.
Well, nothing ended because they didn't like each other so much.
Correct. You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco and Odyssey Sports Station, the home of the Golden State Warriors and Valkyries. Always live on the free Odyssey app and coming to you live from the Laughing Monk Studios. Then there's this one. This one might surprise you a little bit. One more from the Draymond Green show, where Draymond then almost kind of takes a turn on Steve Kerr. Take a listen to this one.
As much as he's done for me in basketball, a part of me think he's hindered me in my career and what I could have become. You know, when KD came from 2016 on, I have not had a play in our playbook, not a single play that we run for me in our playbook. This is 2016. But if you're going to take one gripe and not be able to move past it for all the other things, then you're shallow as a person. That says more about you as a person than it does about Steve or whoever else in that instant. You got to take the good with the bad, man.
Wow.
Oh, my gosh.
Even Kyle Juszczyk gets a play run for him every now and again.
I know. You better be being sarcastic.
I'm not really being
Okay,
that sarcastic.
all right.
I mean,
So
I am, but
I'm coaching a team that's got Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, and Andre Iguodala, and I got somewhere in the book, we're running a play for Day-Day to score. Are you kidding me?
well, I don't think that that's so far-fetched, but I just wonder what that play is. Like, what are you going to run for Draymond that's going to be a better option than Steph and Klay and KD? And I think that's kind of your point. Like, what play could you possibly run that's going to be a better play than let Steph run around and get open and shoot a 31-footer? Like, that's always going to be better than a Draymond play.
Well, and we all got egos. You'll remember and I don't even remember the exact game, but you'll remember what I'm referring to when Draymond actually, there was a big, and I think it was a playoff game. This might have been when they were playing Boston. Maybe it was after. I'm not sure. But Steph got hot in a fourth quarter and carried them to a win. And Draymond shared after the game. He goes, there was a moment where I was kind of looking for my shot a little bit too much, and I shot one. And then Steph came over to me, and he goes, hey, we need to run some of that action. We need to run some of that action. And he goes, that was Steph's way, because Steph is so nice. That was his way of being like, yo, ball me, not ball you, ball me. That's what we're doing here. But it's Steph Curry, so he says it in this other way. But Draymond speaks Steph, so he understood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What he understood was, we're not going to run a play for you right now, Draymond.
Right.
Maybe on Tuesday against Orlando.
I mean, I'm not like, I get why they didn't run any plays for Draymond. I also understand that we all have egos, and Draymond Green is in the NBA, and yes, he probably, I mean, in a weird way, he's probably not wrong. In a large sense, he's very wrong. Because if Steve Kerr didn't hinder you, and ran plays for you, would you be a 4-time champ? Probably not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think Draymond knows that. Draymond's going to the Hall of Fame because of how he was positioned and what, I'm not going to take credit away from him, but how he was positioned with regard to who was around him and then what he went and did with it. And he put all of that energy, those plays that weren't being run for him, he put it all into his defense.
Right, in his screen setting and his ball handling and, being an amazing partner with Steph Curry on the offensive end. And so I don't know if he is being tongue-in-cheek there about, they've never had a play. Like in the playbook, I'm sure there might be a play or two you could run for him if you're up by 21 or whatever. This is not to diminish what he can do offensively, but what Draymond does offensively, by and large, is a byproduct of his action with Steph Curry. They run that high screen, and they trap Steph, and Steph dumps it over to Draymond, and now it's 4-on-3, and Draymond Green is able to run that action. Now, that's not a play run for Draymond, but they have Draymond set that screen because he's so good at that 4-on-3.
And options come out of it. That action.
Yeah.
We got to run some of that action.
And that's where he's been at his best. And I just made the use check comparison because...
It's a good one.
And you'll find once every, 3 games where... They'll give him a little dive down the middle, or they'll throw him the ball.
Right.
Maybe it's more than once every 3 games.
Wheel route, yeah.
Well, then they ran that funky option pitch on. Grandy remembers it was 3rd and 1 or whatever, and they had Juszczyk run that option pitch play.
Why'd you have to? You had to ruin Grandy's day. Why?
I'm not trying to ruin his day, but I'm trying to lean on the memory of a Mark Grandy because he'll remember exactly down and distance and situation. And. Yeah.
I don't remember. I tried to wipe it from my memory, and now you brought it right back up.
It was a pistol snap to Brock and a flip to Juszczyk, and then Juszczyk was
I'm going to be rolling awake in bed tonight.
He was running the short side option to Christian McCaffrey, and remember he pitched it and it kind of went out of bounds.
I remember now. Thanks.
Remember when Burford went the wrong way?
Oh, man.
Remember that one?
Yeah.
Remember when Jimmy threw it right over Sims'
Shut up!
Remember when Kyle didn't know the overtime rules?
Oh, my God.
They want the ball. They want the ball. That's my Travis Kelce. Anyway, Grandy, sorry about that.
Yeah, apologize.
Turning my headphones off.
I can't compare this relationship to anything that I've ever watched in sports. Draymond and Steve. I can't compare this to anything. I don't even know what words to use to describe it. You're all hearing it too, so you can use whatever words you want. Even in that New Yorker, that's exactly what Steve said. He goes, he's such a unique person.
Right.
But even think of that 1-2 punch sentence. I don't know if I've ever heard or seen anything like that. Forget sports, in life, where someone would say, there are things he's done that I can never forgive him for, yet I will do anything for him. It almost is like parent-child, except for I don't think a parent would ever say about a child, I can't forgive you for those things. You do forgive them because they're children.
Right.
So maybe that's why you can't forgive him, because Draymond, grown-ass man. But also do anything for him. I just don't know if I've seen anything like this before in my years of watching sports.
Even in humanity, you're saying, the idea that you can never forgive someone for, and yet you'll do something for them. Well, if it's that bad, then essentially, if you're going to do anything for them, that in and of itself is forgiveness, unless it's something that is just so bad. But if it's so bad and you're still going to do anything for them, then by the essence of that, you're forgiving them.
Sort of. I get what you're saying. It's a little bit semantics. I mean, I think, there are things where you move forward with people it's a professional relationship. You love that person, but there's also things you're never going to forget. And they stay in the back of your mind as like, I gotta remember that. I gotta watch out for that.
Oh, you think so, huh?
I mean, like are Steve and Day-Day going to be all? I'd love to ask Steve this once they announce that new extension of his. What do you think would have happened if you'd left or when you leave with regard to your relationship with these guys? How often will you talk to Draymond once you're not coaching anymore? Maybe weekly, maybe never.
Maybe when they're on set together at ESPN. I mean, there's that possibility.
There sure is.
The closest thing I could think of relationship-wise would be Phil Jackson and Dennis Rodman, and that was only a 3-year run. That relationship was so unique where Dennis Rodman was so volatile that you had to tolerate things like him kicking a cameraman in the family jewels and, hey, coach, I'm going to need a couple days to go spend time with Carmen Electra in Vegas.
Right.
And Phil saying, yeah, I get it. But need some time.
But do you think Phil would, quote, do anything for Dennis?
Probably not.
I'm thinking no.
Well, that was a 3-year run. This has been 12.
Right. And that one, I think he felt like he needed Dennis for rings. So they did.
And he was right.
I don't think he wants to hang out with the worm on the weekend.
Yeah, I don't know what the worm is doing. Turns out his daughter's maybe America's finest soccer player, so he might be following her around and watching Trinity play soccer.
Maybe. RC in Napa. RC, thank you for calling us. What's up?
This whole Draymond podcast thing is beyond comprehension to me. I mean, they run plays for Draymond and say, hey, float around the left corner, you'll get 12 open shots. Go to the left wing, you'll get 12 more open shots. And here he is crying about it. It's like classic Draymond. Then we got Steve Kerr crying. It's like the whole thing is like, besides the rigidity I brought up the other day, it's like an emotional wreck. Draymond has gotten more open shots than any player in the NBA. He should just put a sock in his mouth.
Huh.
That's the end of it.
Okay. All right. Thanks, RC. I didn't really take it that aggressively. That's just me. Like, I don't think Draymond is, quote, crying about it, and I don't think when he shoots the ball that means they ran a play for him. In fact, I can promise you that just about every single time Draymond Green has ever shot a three-point ball in his life, it's because the defense looked at him for so long and went, go ahead.
We dare you.
And they're sagging off so much, no pun intended.
No pun intended. I liked it. Sagging off and sagging off.
They're sagging off so much that, the Warriors were a little hamstrung in terms of other shots that they could create, or it's late in the shot clock, or maybe Day-Day's feeling it that day. So he fires in an attempt. This is why I think he does well in the first quarter sometimes shooting three-pointers, because the effort is, if I can make a few of these, I'm going to keep the defense honest, and then they're really up a creek. And
I wonder, how many plays they actually run outside of plays for Steph Curry. And at times it is for somebody to roll and be the dunker spot. You see some GP2 get that, and Gee as well. The ultimate, compliment to Draymond Green is the majority of the plays that they do run involve him being the passer.
Right.
Because he's the best passer out of these plays on the team.
Or the decision maker, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, they don't run a lot of plays for Brock Purdy outside of you throw, you hand it off. They don't run a lot of plays where he gets to be the receiver or he gets to be, the running back.
That's different.
It is different, but you get the point.
Yeah.
Draymond Green is, by and large, he's always been the point guard of this team.
So Tim Kawakami is going to join us here in just a couple minutes. Can I get definitive with you? Did your thought on what Steve's going to do change at all with today's news?
Nope, not at all.
Not one bit. And where are you going to put your percentage?
I would put my chip in the circle of he's leaving.
Right, but percentage?
I would say it's 75-25.
Interesting.
I'm not 100% lock it up, cuckoo, sure.
I don't know how anybody could be at this point. We don't know that he is.